wackadoodles out there in Cyberland. They had a robot doing jumping jacks. It's like, why does a robot need to do jumping jacks? So, I don't know. Does Jacqueline Lane know? Does the ghost of Jacqueline Lane know? Why would a robot need to do jumping jacks? Wouldn't it just need to do basic functions? Well, because you just want to keep it basic and then use it for whatever it needs to do. If you do exercise for us is to keep everything working right. Excessive compulsive behaviors for a robot would be why? Wouldn't it just be able to? Wouldn't you just do it? Have it do what it was made to do for its function, right? You know, if we just had a superhero with a big arm that could twirl things back and forth, the electricity, um, it's from Schoolhouse Rock with the okay, but crazy. It is crazy, but you sit and you watch people and the things that they do, and you're like, why the motherfuckers do this? Like, they have this thing with the colleges or the people with the robot arm. Wouldn't it be better if we weren't blowing their arms off with warfare? That they had their actual arm? Well, I mean, you could have Will Smith's arm and beat up the robot or possibly beat up the robot or whatever. But why are you fighting the robot and why is the robot fighting you? Why is the robot doing jumping jacks, right? But, okay, when you reach out to touch someone, you want to feel it because that's what the gift of life is all about, right? Instead of nerve damage from chemical poisoning, yeah, I know. It's just not any fun. I understand. Perverts. Yeah, they are. I'm surrounded by perverts, and I'm well aware of that. But as long as my coach is supported by Dr. Pepper, I'll be fine. Okay. Stupid. Yeah, it is. But, um, you know, uh, all you human beings in cyberspace doing commercials and shit and making money off commercials, money ain't real, right? Ain't them dogs. That ain't that Car Fox's real voice, right? Thanks for spoiling it for the rest of us. I get you. Okay. And instead of constantly, sharing all these things to keep people looking good and smelling good and doing all those things while they're being incarcerated and institutionalized and indoctrinated, why not, the best thing, deodorant, why? So you don't offend other people that accept institutionalization and indoctrination and incarceration. Right. Why the fuck do I care if I offend them? I do care about offending people that are abused. Okay. When I go to the store, sometimes it's really hot. I will wear deodorant so I'm not offensive to poor people that are being abused by perverts. Okay. I do have that kind of a thought process in my head. Okay. But as far as the scientific community and the philanthropy scientific community, oh, I don't want you to smell my ass. You'd probably like it. Ooh, been poisoning them. This feels good. I'm going to go jack off to it. That's how sick they are. Right. So, I'm surrounded by sick people, I would not want to be Matthew McConaughey or Woody Harrelson right now. No, I would not want to be. I would not want to be. What's that guy's name? Clint Eastwood. I would not want to be. No, I would not want to be any of you. Not for all the tea in China. Not for all the rocks in Fort Knox. Not for all the Coca-Cola at the football game, right? They're fucking nuts. I know they're fucking nuts. Okay. I have already proved this beyond any reasonable doubts. If anybody has any doubts about me, they're just not a reasonable person. I'm pretty sure that's the guy from the book of Revelation. You're not pretty sure. You're absolutely positive. The people that have abused me my whole life to try to get me to do what they want me to do are absolutely positive I am the guy from the book of Revelation. Do you understand? The Mormon church is absolutely positive I'm the guy from the book of Revelation. And their business partners could run me over in the parking lot of Best Buy and be if I never existed. Okay, so it shows you how much they believe in the Bible. Here you go. Right? And people that are supposed to be Muslims, a Muslim that does not know the Bible does not know Scripture. So it shows you how Muslim, okay, the royal family of Saudi Arabia is. Okay. Shows you how Abrahamic Benjamin Netanyahu is. Not at all. Right? He's Saul. Better call Saul. Okay. Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu is like Saul and Herod and the rest of them, and he's just like them. And they were horrible people. Herod tried to hunt down Jesus as a baby and kill him before he grew to be a man. That's how horrible of a person he was, and he learned it from Pharaoh. You see, you get all those people, and we were the great cradles of civilization. We the black people with the faces on the sphinxes. Yeah, that threw babies to crocodiles because you didn't want the man that would end your legacy of mass murder and turning yourself into a god to grow into a man because you couldn't handle him as a man. So you tried to kill him as a baby. Like we haven't had this happen before. Why do you think the Quorum of the 12 and the Vatican and the Pentagon all had a virtual presence in my house when I was a baby, trying to turn me into what they wanted me to be? Because no man should have that much power. I don't have power. No, I have influence because I'm faithful and trustworthy and truthful and courageous and kind. And so, but it's not power. I just reflect the beauty of my faith in the power and the glory of God. Okay. I'm just merely a reflection of the beauty of the essence of the gift of my life. Right? And I'm not on a commercial eating cereal and smiling about it. So what was wrong with these fucking people? These people are fucking crazy. You know? I got into college sports when I was a kid. My mom and dad were into it. I remember watching I think we played Kentucky or something like that. I can't remember. It was the Aggies, and they got killed. It was the first round of the NCAA tournament. And they were playing, and they lost. And I remember watching, I think it was, what's the name of the guy? Richard Washington, right? He was the star player on John Wooden's last championship team. I'm pretty sure his name was Richard Washington. He was about 6'11", played for the Kansas City Kings. And Mom hated Wooden. She hated him. Okay. Because they were one of the teams that constantly beat the Aggies. Okay. In the tournament when the Aggies had good teams and had a chance to win it all. It was Jacksonville with Artis Gilmore, I believe, that beat us the year that... and then Steve Patterson was the center for UCLA, not Bill Walton and not, so he just had really good teams, So that year, the 1970, I think, or so 60, when we went to the Final Four, the Aggies, we lost to Jacksonville, and UCLA beat Jacksonville, and UCLA beat St. Bonaventure in the Final Four that year with Bob Lanier, I believe, and we beat St. Bonaventure in the third place game. So we finished third in the nation that year. And but I believe Jacksonville had a man named Artis Gilmore on their team that year that beat Sam Lacey and Jimmy Collins and Charlie Christian and the Aggies. Okay, so they said it was Jacksonville that beat us, and not UCLA. That UCLA won the championship that year. They beat Jacksonville in the final. Okay, which I knew they beat Jacksonville in the final, but I thought since we were two Western teams that we played each other, and Jacksonville and St. Bonaventure played, and that's what I always thought, but it wasn't. But that's just not the case. All right, so history. I wasn't. I was only 4 years old, so you have to give me a break on that one. Okay. I was right about the Bob. It was Bob Heaton who hit the shot. The Larry Bird got ejected from the game for hitting a fan that threw a beer on him. Okay. I listened to it on the radio. I think it was Norm Sloan who called the game, right? No, Larry Bird did not hit the shot. And the Aggies lost the game in overtime with Larry Bird ejected from the game. Yeah, which tells you, because the Aggies had a good basketball team, which tells you that Indiana State had a fine basketball team that year. It wasn't just Larry Bird. That Carl Nix and Steve Reed and Alex Miley and Alex Gilbert, could all play ball. And the Heaton kid was a sixth man who hit the half-court shot that sent it overtime. So they had some good ball players. And they beat New Mexico State to remain undefeated. And then lose to Magic Johnson, Gregory Kilser, Jay Vincent, and some other assorted guys for old Judd Heathcote and Michigan State Spartans in the national championship game. Diddly-doo. Yeah. Well, of course, we were watching the game on TV. I was rooting for Larry Bird and the Terre Haute Sycamores because they was the underdogs, right? Oh, they're huge underdogs. Yeah. A little bit of community like ours, They were in our conference, the Missouri Valley Conference, right? From Terre Haute, Indiana State Sycamores, right? We had the Illinois State Redbirds. Who else was in our conference? We had Creighton back then. Creighton Blue Jays. They joined later. They didn't play football. We had the Wichita State Wheat Shockers, the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. Well, Missouri Valley Conference. That's in that. That's in the Missouri. That's in the Missouri River Valleys. So we were not. No, we're from the Rio Grande. But all the teams in close proximity to us got bigger and then tried to strangle off the economic, which they still do. It didn't change. It's still the same. They just invited us into the conference because they could get big ticket receipts because we could put a lot of people in the Pan Am, and they wanted to make money off of sharing the revenue. So that's why they did it. Why does anybody who believes money real do anything? Because they're still bad. So, yeah. So it's Miami and Ohio State, Oregon and Texas Tech, Indiana and Alabama, and then Georgia. Who is Georgia playing? I had that thing. I forgot who Georgia's playing, Oh, is they playing Ole Miss? I think they're playing Ole Miss, Okay, now I got my games squared away. I think I got my games mixed up. So it's Georgia and Ole Miss. Okay. Oregon, Texas Tech, Indiana and Alabama, and Miami, and okay, that's what it is. Okay, do you really care? No, not really, but same old story. Lots of people went University of Indiana to win the national championship. Hoosiers. Okay, does that mean the ghost of Gene Hackman? No, that's basketball. Oh, sorry. Do you care? No, money's not real. I don't care about what people do after money. If you all got together and decided to stand up for the Lord's Prayer and then play football, would you care who wins? No, not really. Aggies ain't playing, so why do I care? It's no Devils, no. Even if the Devils or the Cats or the Aggies were all in it, do I care if they win or lose? Yes, to a degree, but no. Even if they win the last game of the year, it's still it's just a game for money. We still ain't living the Lord's Prayer, right? Okay. Do you understand how significant this YouTube channel is? Even when I talk about things that are just superficial and meaningless, I'm still thinking and doing and being a more intelligent person in the 15 minutes on this video than most of you have ever been in your entire lives, and have been in molecular structures through genetic sequencing for over 10,000 years. Yeah. Just by the mere understanding of the humility of my faith and the way I'm able to do you understand? We sat and talked about sports. Yeah. Well, because I'm watching the game on TV. It's the University of Illinois Illini, which is the name of the people that were there before the European migration. And we don't know if, during the European migration, that's the best way to put it, I guess. And then the Tennessee Volunteers, which were people that fought and migrated all across in their diddly-do, right? My folks is from Tennessee. My dad's folks is from Tennessee. My mom's folks, Ellis Island military immigrants. Yeah, both of them. Yeah. Granny was a first generation from Germany, Kramer, that came here to get away from the Hitler stuff. And Grandpa Murphy was, New York migrating across immigrant type person ended up in the military. Right? And so, I don't know. I have to look up the stuff where they was from, if they like Ohio or, wherever. I don't know. I ain't never took the time to look or hear or think. According to the DNA test, he wasn't a Murphy. He was British. My dad's more Irish than he is. Who knows? Do you care? No, I really could care less. Truth is truth and a lie is lie. Life's eternal and grace is infinite. Okay? So when you sit down and think about it, where people played football, where people drank beer, where people sexually reproduced, sexually assaulted, murdered, killed, charged rent to live here, pretended they were vampires for money, and they wrote songs about it, and then were excited because they were going to win an award from psychotic mass murderers with bad science projects. What do I care? All I care is that we understand the Lord's Prayer, apply it in physics, use the technology to do so, and stop building robots to do jumping jacks and putting prosthetics on people that are getting their arms blown off or broken off in a car accident because we're still charging extortion and engaging in exploitation to live here. Right? There are people at colleges that are considered experts, on that TED thing in Europe where they sit and they talk for hours and hours about building these robots and these arms and shit like that. And they haven't talked about anything as intelligent as what I talked about in a few minutes here, just talking about watching football on TV. You see why my life is the story in the book of Revelation, and the people on TV commercials and the people in universities and the people selling things to inject in yourself to make you lose weight. It doesn't make you lose weight. It just makes your body process stuff that you're putting in your body differently. So it's just lying to your body, telling you that you're healthy when you're not. Yeah, it's if you think it's healthy to be skinny because you're superficial, that's your decision. Okay, I love you very much. As for me, I don't want that Sonic burger. I want to make my own. Okay, I love you. All right, peace.